Hi guys and gals, this is Vic Moss with Drone U, and I'm here today in beautiful Lakewood, Colorado in the Solterra subdivision. Right at the foot of my beautiful Rocky Mountains. You can see Red Rocks Amphitheater behind us. It's a great place to play. Bands come from all over the world to play there. But anyway, we're going to do a review today. Freewell Gear sent me some stuff for free. Just so you know, I did get it for free. That's not going to affect what I think about it. The case, I like some things. The case, I don't like some things. But we've got a case for the Mavic Air. We've got a landing pad, this little guy right here, which I love, by the way. A couple things I'd like to do different, but I'm not sure they even can. And then we also have the filters. I've got ND, I've got a CPL, and I've got some CPL and ND together. So we'll fly those, I'll take some pictures, and then we'll take those back to the office, and I'll look at the different color, different clarity, and see if the NDs are all the same across the, each one's the same color, that kind of thing, and just check the quality of the glass and the quality of the build, and that kind of stuff. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started on this. We're going to start off with the case, and so let's go. Alrighty, so we've got our case right here, and this is by Freewell, again, a company out of China. Great company though. Anyway, just like a lot of the Chinese companies these days, but it's a good case. It's not a hard case, it's a soft-sided case, but it's a strength in the soft-sided case. So, it's pretty good. You've got the zipper, it looks like really good zippers. One thing you also have is these little things right here, which you can put a shoulder strap on. You don't get a shoulder strap, but I imagine they're not that hard to come by in a camping store. But again, nice padded handle, weighs not much. Well, it weighs a little more now because I have the Mavic in there. But good durable case. It's not a hard case, like I said. So, don't look at this as a hard case. But it's a good little travel case, definitely. So go ahead and open it up again. The zippers are real good quality. It's not a cheap quality. It's a good price, and I'll get to that in a minute. But you open it up, and everything's right there for you, including my broken phone. I dropped it yesterday. So mad about that. Anyway, it's a good little case. It's got a lot of good pockets. You've got the main pocket here for the bird controller, and you can keep the sticks on the controller. You got room for 4 batteries plus one on the bird. So I only have 3 batteries. So I've got these 2 extra things. I got my business cards in one, and then also underneath it here you've got room for extra things if you want. It's actually specifically made for the transformer that plugs into your charger. The charger lives under there. I'll show you that in a minute. So overall, I really like this case. I like the build. It's not flaky. You're not going to get stuff in your motors, on the lens, that kind of thing. It's cut foam, so it's really good with that. Now there is one thing I do not like about this case, and I've already talked to them about it, and they said they are going to fix that in subsequent models. So the case, or the hole that holds the little Mavic Air in, it's great. It's nice and tight. It's a little too tight. It wouldn't hurt to give it a little bit more room this way, but the main concern is if you're not careful, it will grab the propellers. So if you're going to get one of these, what I would strongly suggest is just take the props off. It doesn't take very long. It's easy to do, and then you can just store them in here with the other stuff if you don't have the chargers in there. So I'll just put this back on real quick. It's normally really easy to do if you know what you're doing. And that's back on. So again, that just goes right back in there. It fits in there. Here's the hole that the charger goes in. Fits very nicely. I left the chargers in the charger and everything in the office because I just didn't want to bring it, and it makes no sense to bring it. But the charger goes here, and the converter goes right there. I'm using it just to hold other stuff in there. Empty card, extra little things when I lose my little sticks. And then in here, it's got I got all kinds of stuff in here. I got some of my Drone U cards, extra set of props, which you get 2 extra sets of props with the Mavic Air. I think that's kind of funny. And then all kinds of other stuff, including my tweezers, which I take everywhere with the Mavic Air because I can't get the stinking card out. But it's a good put everything over here. Like I said, it's a good, well-built case. Get everything out. Show you a little bit more. Get everything out of here. My broken phone. Card reader. individual charger, which is really nice. You got the SD charger if you want to charge individual batteries. And then the other thing that's really nice, it's got the zippered case right here, which I have some paperwork, some notes in there, and I also have the filters we're going to review. But this is really neat. Another nice thing about this case is the landing pad fits in here. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it works really well. So I'll show you that when we get to the landing pad area. But again, nicely done. It's very well built. It's not going to flake. Also, I found this out this morning when I was messing around with it. This comes out and you can put even more paperwork and that kind of thing down there. Copy of your remote pilot certificate, insurance cards, AMA membership, SERPA membership, whatever you're running with, you can stick that in there. Just some paper, stick it down inside there and forget about it. You'll never lose it. It won't blow out of the case when you open it up. But I really do. I like this case a lot. The only thing is, pulling this thing in and out, it does want to seem to pull on this. Whoops, I didn't put that on very well. It does want to seem to pull on these just a little bit. Again, he said he's going to fix that in other models. He's going to talk to his design department, and it's just a little tight nose to tail. No matter which way you put it in, it's still just a little tight nose to tail. But overall, I like it. The price, let me double check, make sure I got it right. I think the price is $29.99. Nope, $39.99. But again, that's less than half of what other cases. There is this particular brand of case I really like, but it's a hard-sided case. And I'm pretty hard on my gear. I'm a location photographer. Stuff rides around in the back of my truck. It might not be treated with the utmost care, which I should. My VO, Todd Pearson, treats everything very nice. He treats my gear better than I do. But I just want something I can toss in the back. If it bounces across the the back of the truck a little bit, then hard case is a little bit better. But if I were looking for a case and I didn't worry too much about this, I'd get this one. I really like it. Like I said, it's 40 bucks, $39.99. Oh, hey, I lied. Guess what I just found? I found a shoulder strap for it. So that shows you I should dig deeper into things before I actually review them. But anyway, so you get a shoulder strap with it. I lied. Good job, Freewell. It was hidden down there, black and black. That's the first time I've actually used it outside, so maybe that's why I didn't see it. But overall, really good case. Really like it. Highly recommend it. If you do get one of the versions that I have that's a little tight in there, it's not 100% necessary, but it's probably a good idea just to go ahead and take your props off before you fly or before you put it away, and then you just put them back on once you fly again. And in a situation like that, it would just fit in there nice and snug, come in and out, no problems whatsoever. And I can't figure out which way it goes. Does it go that way or does it go that way? It probably goes the other way. It goes either way. And again, just a little snug, but without the props on there, I'm not sure that's that big a deal. It's nicely cushioned and it holds it in there very nice. So as far as this case goes, I got a bird yelling at me. Oh, it's a beautiful little bird. As far as the case goes, I like it a lot. I think they've done a really nice job. I've seen hard cases on their website, but I've not used one. Again, I have a particular brand I really like, but this is a good one. This really is. I would use this in a heartbeat if it were a little bit wider and if the props weren't quite so tight on it. But again, for the money, darn good case. I wholeheartedly recommend this case. Alrighty, now here we got the landing pad. This little guy right here. It's actually in here. Comes in a nice little case. But yeah, this is a landing pad. It really is. It's for the Mavic Air, I guess, but it's also, I've flown the Mavic off of it. My VO really likes it. He wants it. But I'll tell you right up front, this is 20 bucks. This is $19.99. You better hurry up and get this before Freewell sees this. And I tell them they should probably charge $30 for it. But maybe they won't. Anyway, so good. Great little thing. Love it. Case is kind of nice. I'll probably end up losing that at some point, knowing me. I'll throw it under the table for now and probably forget to take it back with me. But this thing is awesome. Let me show you what I meant though. Here. I don't think this was designed this way, but maybe it is. But this little guy fits down in there. And it doesn't squish this when it's in there either. I tested that out earlier. Now it is tight. It is really tight, as in should be able to get it out pretty easily. Get it, yeah. So it works really well. It does fit in there. It's kind of a nice little feature. So I'll zip that up, put it under the table as well. But here's the landing pad. It's really cool. I love the design. It's two-sided. It's light, super light, which I'll talk about in a minute. I'll show you what the problems are with that. But it's not, it's a problem that has a workaround, so no problem at all. But here it is. Unfold it once, unfold it twice, unfold it 3 times. You've got a nice landing pad. It's a great size for this. I should have brought my Mavic Pro to show you the difference. You know, Mavic Pro is a little bit bigger. But I love it. You've got orange on one side. You can orient it to the compass points. You get your iPhone out and figure out which way it's pointing in case you're doing something where you need an orientation. And it's also yellow. I like the yellow side. It's still a little more contrasty. And let's see, north is about like that, so we'll do that. But I really do like it. It's well built. I don't know if I could even rip it. But it does, let's see, grab some dirt here. And you know, it cleans up pretty good. You know, rubbed it in, and I imagine you can just wipe it off if it got really dirty. But again, I like that you've got the orange side, you've got the yellow side, and I really made it dirty. And it's just a nice little landing pad. You're out in the dirt, you know, you can take off from the middle there. You can also land on it. And again, it just folds up. 1, 2, 3. And it's back to that size again. Actually, it's either way. It folds right up. Super simple. And I don't even think you have to fold it the same way twice. Let's fold it in half and thirds and see what happens. It's either way. You can fold it in thirds, you can fold it half first, whatever you want to do. But I really like it. Get the dirt off the table. And it's a good little thing. 20 bucks, it's a steal. It really is. Alrighty, so here I am. Now I'm gonna do the landing pad. Obviously nothing in front of you, so I'm just gonna take it straight from the get-go here. So again, take it out of the case. Super simple, unfold it. 1, 2, 3. I do like the yellow side. I am not gonna worry about which way it faces. I am gonna make it a little bit straighter though. So there we go. It's all set, all ready to go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get this thing turned on. And face it away from us, because that's a safe way to fly. Grab the controller, let everything get going here. Now, one flaw that I have found with this, and I'm really not sure there's even a workaround, because it'll do something, it'll make the weight a little bit more, is when I'm flying in, if I'm not flying in straight over, it'll flap a little bit. And I'll show you that when I land. But it's not, it really isn't that big a deal. I really don't think it's gonna be that big a deal. I think it's gonna be fine. So go ahead and turn it on.
Take off.
And as it is now, you know, you just go straight up. It's gonna work very well. Just take off and go flying out of there. Nice little quick spin, and I'm gonna come right back and I'm gonna show you what the problem is. Again, it's not that big a deal because you can land straight down, but let's see what it does here. If I come in at an angle, it flutters just a little bit. See that? It flutters more so with the Mavic Pro, but again, I come straight down, no problem at all. And I didn't even land in the middle. So again, you know, it's not that big a deal. But you know, if you're taking off with a Mavic Air or with a Mavic Pro, I don't see this as being an issue. I really honestly don't. You just land straight down. You probably should anyway. You know, you turn it so it's facing away from you, you just bring it down, land it straight down, and that little fluttering isn't that big a deal. It did do it more with the Mavic Pro, but the Mavic Pro is pushing more air, so that would make sense. But for what this is, a little Mavic Air and a little Mavic Pro, I love this little thing. And probably end up getting one for Todd just because he's a nice guy. Again, this guy, this little $20 foldable launch pad, landing pad, whatever you want to call it, a dynamite little thing to carry. It fits in your camera bag, fits in your drone case, even that little one they have that Freewell makes. Get this thing, you'll love it, you won't regret it. Alrighty, so here we've got the filters they sent me. We've got the Mavic Air, the ND 1000, which is a 10-stop filter, and then we have what they call the all-day 8-pack. You've got everything from the ND4, ND8, ND16, ND8 polarizer, 16 polarizer, 32 polarizer, 64 polarizer, and then as a still photographer, one of my favorite filters is the CPL, so the circular polarizer with no ND at all. So it's going to be fun when I try these things out. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and show you how easy they are to put on. But this little guy here, the ND1000, again, 10-stop filter is $49.99. It's a rather expensive filter for what little you get, but size doesn't mean anything when it comes to filters. Actually, sometimes size, the smaller they get, the harder they are to keep quality on, so they're more expensive to get. So that's $49.99, 50 bucks. And the all-day 8-pack, this thing right here is $129.99. What's really great about this, they range in weight from 0.5 grams to 0.8 grams. So very little bit of interference with the gimbal. So let me show you here. Again, this is a big little box for this thing. You get a little filter here. This little guy right here, that's the ND1000. I'm gonna set this aside over here. But this is the box that actually comes in, the case it comes in. It's a great case. This thing, look at this, they won't come out. They will not come out of this case. Now watch, they'll come out. Ah, hey, they came out, but all at once. So don't do that. But they will not fall out by doing that unless you put it back in wrong. It's a good little case. Now, I would like to see these. I would like to see a case smaller. I don't think we need this much for 8 filters, 8 small filters like this. I just don't see it being necessary. But you know, it works, and maybe they have a single case for all of their filters, and they have the bigger filters for the Phantoms and that kind of thing, so it's just an economic thing for them. When I got the filters for my P4P, they're actually in a little wallet type thing, so actually I like this a little better. But you know, it could be smaller. I'm a location photographer. To me, if I can get the smallest case possible that protects my equipment the best, I'm all for that. So anyway, so there's that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to put the filters on the Mavic. Alrighty, so now I'm going to show you just how easy it is to put these filters on. So I'll open the case up here. I'm just going to pull out the little guy here. What is this guy? This is the, I think it's ND4PL. No, it's just the CPL. Cool. So again, you got the, you know, the build is very nice. Nice knurling on the filter. So it's easy to get on and off, which actually it's easier than this little guy here, because this thing is smooth. Now, one thing I like about the Air versus the Pro is how sturdy the gimbal is. I'd almost be afraid to be doing this with my Pro. This thing just slides on there. It goes on and off very nicely. There's no grit, no grain once that's on. The CPL spins very nicely. I got a little bit of hair in there. That's my fault, not theirs. But it works real well. It's nice, it's light. I really like it. And actually, I was flying with the, I think it was the ND16 a couple days ago, and I didn't feel like taking the filter off, putting the DJI filter back on before I put the lens, or before I put the gimbal clamp on here. The gimbal clamp fits over that thing very, very nicely. So that is huge. I don't know if the other brand does that or not, but I really love the Freewells. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to fly and take some still photos. All my still photos are going to be done at I just do automatic and 100 ISO, and we're just going to do bracket, and then I'll shoot raw, daylight, so sunny. Even though that's usually blue at altitude, I'm not going to worry about the color. I just want to see consistency of color. So we'll do a test. We'll fly it with the regular UV filter from DJI, because that'll be a nice true color test. And then I'll do a few different filters, and then we'll take them back to the office, put them on the computer, compare them side by side. So there you go. The filter's super easy on and off, easier actually than the DJI filter. And the build quality is, and I noticed this when I was just playing with them before I even before I flew with them, is it's a nice, tight, well-machined build quality. There's nothing, and you know, in the polarizers, it doesn't grind, and when it goes on and off, it doesn't feel like there's any grit in the threads of either the lens or the filters. So nice little filters as far as build quality. So now the only thing left to do is put it up in the air and test to see if the optical quality and the optical color are consistent from variable to variable. Now, they say, and I have no reason to doubt them, that these are made with optical quality glass and multi-coated on both sides, and that is huge. A lot of the lesser quality lesser quality filters are not multi-coated on both sides, and some of the really cheap ones, like you get in the bundles from Amazon, which is why I tell everybody don't buy a bundle from Amazon, they're not even optical glass. So when you put something on the front of your lens, you want that glass to be just as good as the glass and the lens. So that's where we're at, and I'll do some flying now and do some pictures, and then go back to the office and finish up our review. All right, so now what I'm going to look at is the DJI UV only, and I'm going to compare it against the neutral density only. Again, we did the ND4, the ND16, and of course I threw the ND1000 on there. Overall, I was pretty pleased with these as well. You get the more ND that goes on there, the warmer it gets. For instance, if you'll see here, the UV's right there, and if we put the ND4 on, it warms it up just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. It's also slightly darker, but that's okay. And we go to the 16, it gets even a little warmer. Look up here in the clouds, we'll go from the 4 back to the 16 and see it's getting a little bit warmer. Now when we go to the ND1000, it's even warmer. So you go from there to there and it's even warmer. But it's not, from there to there is not 5 times the warmth, because with the ND4 you got 2 stops, with the ND10 or ND1000 you have 10 stops. So it's not 5 times as warm. So again, there's the UV. ND4 a little bit warmer. Look up here in the clouds, we'll do it again. Watch up here in the clouds, UV. ND4 a little bit of warmth up there, not much. 16, again, it's getting a little bit warmer right through here. And then the ND1000 is even warmer still. Now I'm looking at this on a calibrated screen. I use the let's see, the Color Monkey once a month on this screen, my screen downstairs, so everything's always calibrated. So if you're looking at this on just a regular screen on your phone, hopefully you're not looking at it on your phone, because you're not really going to get the true depth of this on it. But you might not see quite as much. But yeah, overall, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad from one to the other. It's not great, but it's certainly very, very, very usable for a Mavic Air. So that's the ND, just the plain ND versus the UV. Again, I'm basing everything off how the UV looks, just the plain old DJI UV. And so that one looks really good. Next, we're going to do the UV along with the ND and CPL together, different variances. We've got a couple different ones to do. You're going to see a little bit of a difference there. But that's it for the ND. Basically, nice lenses. Again, very sharp. Nice filters, I should say, very sharp. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the difference in the UV and the difference in the CPL. So CPL, again, is circular polarizing filter. And what what I figured out is the CPL tends to make things warmer than the UV, but that's really not uncommon. A lot of polarizing lenses will actually warm things up just a little bit, and they definitely, since they're polarizer, they also make them a little more vibrant, bring the colors out just a little bit. So again, here is the DJI UV only, and then this is the filter, that's the CPL filters you can see there. So again, the big difference, that's very neutral, and if you look up in the sky, up in here, it's fairly neutral. It might be a little cool, but again, at altitude that happens. And here you can see it looks a little warmer. It's actually kind of a little warm up here, a little green down there, but I think that's basically just the overall the saturation of the colors and that kind of thing. The other thing is, if you notice, look here and here. If you look here, we've blown some of the highlights out of the just the UV, straight UV filter, and with the CPL you're going to pull those highlights back in a little bit. Now part of that might be the slight underexposure that the CPL created, because I did have to bump this up just a little bit, but also part of it is that, you know, it's polarizing the light coming off the clouds a little bit, so that's probably a combination of both. So, but again, the CPL, nice clear filter. Here is the that tower in that one, and the tower in that one, and you can see here that it's just as clear as it is in this one here. So CPL, nice lens, or nice filter. I really like it. As a still photographer, that would probably be on my lens, or beyond the Mavic Air most of the time. If I'm shooting video, I won't put the CPL on there. So anyway, UV versus CPL, good news, definitely like it. All right, so the last thing we're going to test here, I'm going to show you, is what we did with the UV and the neutral density and CPL together in that one the one filter. We did the 64 and we did the 8. So it's quite a jump, and you're going to see quite a bit of difference in this thing. So again, here's the UV. What you're seeing right here is the UV only. That's our base. That's where we're starting with all these comparisons. And then when we go to the 8, you can look at the difference in color. So there's the UV and there's the 8. You can see the influence of the CPL in here, but you're also getting quite a bit of color shift. Looking through here, go back to the UV, go here again, and it's just, it's a little bit more of a color shift. The CPL is given a little more vibrancy as well, but then when you jump up to the 64, you get quite a change. Looking through here, from the 8 to the 64, it actually cools it down and brings in a little bit of green, which to me is a little strange, but it is what it is. None of it is really obnoxious. Getting a little bit of vignetting as well here with this particular one. You know, it's a little bit in all of them, but this is actually from the sunshine running through. This is a little bit of vignetting you can kind of see there. It's kind of strange. I've never been a fan of ND and CPL together. I just never have. When you're panning in a video, if you've got a CPL on there, the sky will change, or not change colors, but change intensity on it, you know, depending on that 90-degree angle from the sun. So to me, and again, it's just me, just my thoughts, if either going to use a CPL or you're going to use an ND. Both of them together, I don't like, and I never have, and probably never will. And this is just kind of one of the reasons why. If you're going to do still photography like I mostly do, obviously I do video as well, but for still photography, either have the CPL or have the ND, not together. I'm sure occasionally in different video situations you'll need both. You know, the higher you go, obviously 64, the more the color shifts a little bit and the more vignetting you get. So these filters to me aren't my favorite filters. I'm not real happy with the quality. No, I shouldn't say that because it's not the filter's fault. It's just the quality of the image after you put that stuff together. Not a fan of it, never have been. You can get rid of the vignette in post. That's not that big a deal. You can do it in FCP. You can do it in the Adobe product. Whatever you want, you can get rid of that. That's just excuse me. That's just one more step of post-production you have to deal with. So, overall thoughts on the ND CPL? Don't like them. But it really doesn't have anything to do with Freewell. The color switch between them is from 64 to 8, back to 64 again. You can really see a big color shift in these. That is probably not a good thing. So maybe those particular filters aren't that hot, but the other ones, the other Freewells, I definitely like. So UV versus ND CPLs. I would vote against it, but that's just my thoughts, and I've never been a fan anyway, so maybe I'm a little biased on that. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do a conclusion. So that's coming up next. Alrighty, so we looked at the UV versus CPL. We looked at optical quality. I told you the processing formula. We looked at UV versus neutral density. We also looked at UV versus the ND CPL combinations. So in conclusion, I was kind of surprised by the variation of chrome or color between the filters, but it wasn't too bad with the exception of the ND CPLs. It just has it. That's just all there is to it. Not a fan of them, but overall, you know, some people like it, some people don't. Kind of a personal choice there. Color difference was a little more than I'd like to see, but again, as you add more neutral density to a filter, it has a tendency to shift color. So that's just kind of a nature of the beast, unless you're getting into some very, very expensive filters, which I have filters like that. These filters you get 8 for $130. I've got filters, single filters that cost twice that for my big cameras, so it's not that big a deal. So let's just break it down to reality. The reality of the thing is, when are you going to be using a Mavic Air? You're going to be using it for real estate, more than likely, some of the lower end budget clients, for vacation. I mean, let's face it, it's a good little vacation bird, or just kind of fill, you know what I mean? Some B-roll kind of stuff. Or in my case, and in case of other people too, I use the Mavic and the Mavic Pro, both the Air and the Pro, for interior video. When I want a nice drone shot, because I can get, I can go all the way across a retail space or a restaurant or something like that without anybody in it. And a nice one long single throw. And in a situation like that, your light's not going to change anyway, and odds are you're not going to be using NDs inside. You just don't have the light to do that. So all in all, they're really kind of nice little filters. For the still filters, for the still photos, I definitely have CPL. I like the way it looks. I like the warmth it creates, and if it's too warm, in my opinion, I can get rid of it in post. It's not that big a deal. NDs are the same. If there's too much warmth in them, or if there's too much vignette going on, it's not that big a deal. Actually, in my Mavic Pro, I've already got a vignette set in there for every still photo I take with that, because the vignette the Mavic Pro has a set vignette. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that or not, but it's easy to get rid of. Now, I usually put vignettes back in, but I want to control how big they are, and exactly how deep and how dark and that kind of thing. These filters are for the Air. It's not going to be, it's cost versus quality on something like this. Yeah, it's $130 for these filters, but it's a good deal. You get 8 filters. The ND, the 1000, I think, is $49.95, I think. I'd have to double check that, but I mentioned it earlier anyway. So those are the things you need to look out for. Would I use these filters on a high-end project? No, not really. Definitely not the ND CPLs. But then again, I wouldn't be using a Mavic Air on a high-end project anyway, so that really doesn't matter. Maybe on a high-ish end project for the interior stuff, but again, I'm not using filters in a situation like that anyway. For the money and for the Mavic Air, I really do like this filter combination. I like the 8-pack, and it's a nice range of filters. I could do the 4-pack probably, as long as it's not the CPLs, the ND CPLs together. But again, that's just my personal taste on something like that. So overall, I like the filters. They're sharp, which to me is paramount. For still photography especially, it's paramount. Video, you can get away with a little bit of softness. Matter of fact, sometimes, you're trying to get a little bit of motion blur in it. So the softness isn't, or the sharpness isn't quite as important, but for the stills it definitely is. So A+ on that. No issues, no difference than the DJI CPL. All crisp, all clean, nice contrast in there. The smaller contrast between pixels does not suffer. That's when you get things look a little washed out. And gosh, I like them. I really don't know what else to say. If you're going to be switching from the NDs a lot back and forth for some heavy NDs to maybe a lighter ND where you're going to get that variation in your video, the light's going to be changing anyway, so it's not that big a deal to try and get that color graded back out again, because you're going to have to do it for the light anyway, adding a little bit of work and one or two more sliders in post to get rid of the slightly warmer look of a deeper ND. It's really not that big a deal. So overall, yeah, these are nice filters. Nice case, nice. I love this little guy. I can't tell you how much I like that thing right there. That landing pad will probably go in my flight bag. Well, not probably, it will, because that's where it's living right now. Anytime I've got the Mavic Air, the Mavic Pro, and this thing's going out. I'm actually headed to Mexico next month. I'm taking the Mavic Pro down, and this little guy is going to go with me. Filter, again, great filters. Love the case, except it's too big. And the bag is great. I like the bag as well. It's got that one issue with the where it sits a little tight in there, but that's an easy workaround. Then I also noticed if you put it in one way versus the other, it doesn't hang up quite as much. So there is a forward and backward in that thing after all, which I kind of knew, but I was trying to play with anyway. So anyway, Freewell, it's just www.freewellgear.com, and I hope you enjoyed the this review by Drone U and myself. And leave comments below, have questions, post them below, and we'll try and get back to you. Always follow us and rate us and all kinds of fun things like that. So again, thank you very much and look forward to talking to you next time. This is Vic Moss for Drone U. Bye-bye.